There was a man, a quiet, unassuming bookkeeper from Cleveland, but within a single lifetime, he controlled 90% of America's oil, the single most valuable resource of the industrial age. Governments tried to stop him, rivals tried to destroy him, and in the end, they all failed. Because Rockefeller didn't just build a company, he built a system, a machine that could survive any law, any reform, and even the man himself. And today, from Apple to Amazon, from Tesla to Google, every giant follows the same blueprint, Rockefeller's blueprint. A century ago, there was one name synonymous with legendary wealth and power: John D. Rockefeller. Imagine being 3 times richer than Jeff Bezos, or so powerful that the US government had to create special laws just to control your company. At the height of his career, Rockefeller's wealth amounted to 1.5% of the entire United States economic output. That's $280 to $400 billion in today's money. Add up Musk, Bezos, and Buffett combined, and you still wouldn't reach Rockefeller. But here's the real question. How did he do it? And more importantly, how is the system he built still running today? Welcome to History of Finance, where money, power, and history collide. I'm your host, and today I'm not just telling you a success story, I'm revealing the DNA of modern capitalism. 1839, New York. John D. Rockefeller was born as an ordinary child. Nobody could predict he would become one of America's most influential people, especially not those who knew his father. William Avery Rockefeller, a con artist, a quack doctor, and according to some, a horse thief. A man who constantly moved his family around, dressed well to appear prosperous, but whose real life was shrouded in mystery. His mother, however, was the complete opposite, a devout Baptist, disciplined, orderly, and young John took after her. He hated chaos. To him, chaos was sin, and control was salvation. He grew up in Cleveland, a simple country life. School for a few months each year, the rest spent doing farm work, chopping wood, caring for horses, raising chickens and turkeys. Nobody gave him a second glance. A quiet, reserved, ordinary boy. At 16, he dropped out of high school. His first job? An assistant bookkeeping position, earning 50 cents a day, minimum wage. But John had a plan. He saved every penny he earned. Then he asked his father for a loan. His dubious father at least had some money tucked away. And in 1859, he took his first step into the business world, a commodities brokerage firm called Rockefeller and Clark. The timing was perfect. America's oil industry was just beginning to boom, and Cleveland, with its proximity to the Pennsylvania oil fields, was becoming the perfect hub for petroleum refining. In 1863, with the capital he had earned, he opened his own refinery. And right here, we saw the true face of young Rockefeller. 2 years later, he kicked out his partner, bought him out and dismissed him. He formed a new company, this time with chemist Samuel Andrews. But he needed more capital. He approached millionaire Stephen Harkness. Harkness would invest $100,000, but with one condition. His relative, Henry Flagler, had to become a partner as well. This move turned out to be golden. Flagler's organizational abilities perfectly complemented Rockefeller's strategic vision. And in 1870, at just 31 years old, he founded the greatest company in history, Standard Oil. Rockefeller's vision was different from his competitors. While they focused on drilling for oil, he chose refining, because refining was more stable, more controllable. And then he did something that became a formula still used today: vertical integration. He didn't just sell oil, he bought the pipelines, he bought the train cars, he bought the barrel factories, warehouses, shipping terminals, everything. Anyone who wanted to enter the market had to go through his system. But his real genius was something else. He found value where others saw waste. He acquired sour oil fields in Ohio, places everyone called worthless. He invested in a research team, and they found a way to remove those impurities. Garbage made him millions. Then things got truly ruthless. In the first 3 months of 1872, out of 26 Cleveland competitors, he either bought out, shut down, or bankrupted 22 of them. His tactics were simple but devastating. He made secret deals with railroads. He guaranteed 60 train cars of oil per day in exchange for discounts up to 50%. His competitors could never compete at those prices. Then he offered them fair prices. But the truth was, those prices weren't fair. They were already being driven to bankruptcy by Standard Oil's tactics. By the 1880s, Standard Oil controlled 90% of America. One man had seized an entire industry. People called him the octopus. A journalist drew him that way. Tentacles everywhere, starting with oil but reaching into steel, copper, shipping, state legislatures, even the White House itself. But Rockefeller remained calm and methodical. He dressed plainly, avoided scandals, read the Bible every day. He believed wealth was a moral duty, a divine favor earned through discipline. He once said, "I believe the power to make money is a gift from God." But one journalist, Ida Tarbell, didn't agree. Her father had been ruined by Rockefeller's tactics. In 1904, she published The History of the Standard Oil Company. It exposed all the dirty laundry, secret railroad deals, predatory pricing, forced buyouts. The public was outraged. Standard Oil had become the symbol of monopoly, and Rockefeller, America's most hated man. The government took action. Using the Sherman Antitrust Act, they filed a lawsuit. After 7 years of legal battles, in 1911, the Supreme Court delivered its verdict. Standard Oil was a monopoly and had to be broken up into 34 independent companies. The headlines screamed, "Victory for democracy." Rockefeller had been defeated. But the story didn't end there. In fact, it was just evolving. Because Rockefeller owned shares in each of those 34 new companies. And when they were split up, investors rushed to buy them all. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco. Their combined value tripled within a year. The government had shattered his empire, and in the process diversified his wealth. In 1913, he became the world's first billionaire. But the pressure had destroyed his health. Journalist Ida Tarbell described him as one of the saddest objects in the world. Completely hairless from alopecia, pale, a ghost of his former self. And here, something changed. Maybe regret, maybe strategy. But Rockefeller turned to philanthropy. He poured hundreds of millions into universities, medical research, and public health. The Rockefeller Foundation helped eradicate diseases like hookworm and yellow fever. He founded the University of Chicago. He opened China's first modern medical school. He transformed from villain to benefactor. Reputation became an asset class. And he created a blueprint every billionaire uses today. The Rockefeller formula. Dominate an emerging market, resist regulation until you're unstoppable, then rebrand your legacy through philanthropy. When government catches up, your fortune has already moved elsewhere. When public opinion turns, your name is carved in hospitals and museums. But Rockefeller's true legacy isn't money. It's the system. The trust model became the foundation of corporate America. Vertical integration, the idea of controlling every stage from production to sale, became the blueprint for Apple, Amazon, and Tesla. The quiet network of influence through foundations and policy networks became the soft power of modern wealth. Even his supposed defeat, the antitrust breakup, became a playbook. When the government later tried to break up AT&T or regulate big tech, history repeated itself. The fragments often became stronger than the original. Rockefeller had shown that money, once it reaches critical mass, behaves like matter under gravity. It bends everything around it. You can't destroy it. You can only redistribute its orbit. Today, the Rockefeller family is still one of the wealthiest families. According to Forbes, $10.3 billion. And the oil giants, BP, Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Chevron, all descendants of Standard Oil. The secret is that family offices, irrevocable trusts, the waterfall concept, legal loopholes that allow wealth to transfer tax-free from generation to generation. And it's not just money, political influence too. Until 2014, someone with the Rockefeller name had always held high political office since 1950. The foundation still shapes global policies today.
Alongside other major philanthropic organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, health, agriculture, international partnerships. But critics say these undermine organizations like the UN, shifting focus toward profit-centered solutions. John D. Rockefeller didn't invent oil. He invented the modern concept of power. He understood that true wealth isn't in the barrels or the bank accounts. It's in the blueprint that keeps the flow going. He started as a man counting pennies in a ledger. He died as the architect of capitalism's DNA. The government could break up Standard Oil, but not the idea behind it. That idea became the invisible skeleton of the modern economy. Corporations that span continents, monopolies disguised as markets, wealth that multiplies faster than nations can tax it. The lesson isn't that monopoly is good or evil. The lesson is this: systems of wealth always evolve faster than the laws meant to contain them. Rockefeller's empire was the prototype. Today's tech giants are its descendants. The pattern is the same. Find a new resource, whether oil, data, or attention. Control the infrastructure, then convert control into inevitability. And like all great systems, it hides in plain sight. We call it progress, efficiency, innovation. But underneath, it's the same equation. Consolidate chaos into order and own the flow of value. The faces change, the engine remains. If this gave you a new perspective, hit that subscribe button. History has the answers, and here at History of Finance, we show you where to look. See you in the next one.